So these are my thoughts um, on the three chapters for slavery. First of all, I was really surprised on how much freedom they had. I really just generalized all slaves as being, just kept up in this cottage and sent out at certain times of the day, and pretty much just like jail where everything is set in times. Not that I've been there, but it was just really weird to me on how much freedom they got, especially when I found out that the husband could go out and pretty much have his own business and his way of life and treat his family how he wanted to and see them. And then how the mother made cookies for her own profit as long as she gave a certain percentage to the slave, which I think was okay. What I found interesting was the fact that some of the slave masters, in more relation to the mistresses, really didn't treat the slaves that bad. A certain amount of them, they treated them pretty much as pets, and treated them that way. If they did something good or they didn't disobey, they were treated normally. They were treated as people. If they disobeyed or something like that, then they were done like, pets. They were beaten and all the things that usually go on with slavery. Something that really grabbed my attention was the beginning of chapter 2 on the both sides between the slave master and the father and the obedience of the two. So, as the writer said, the slave was called, and it was pretty much a battle on which one they would come to. It was pretty much fear versus love and respect. But fear obviously won over, because if he wouldn't have came, he could have got whipped or anything. So in a way, these slave masters had a greater ruling over the children. So the parents were pretty much a step below the slave masters, which is really uncommon, where the parents are usually the top head rulers on what you can do, when you can do, and how you can do. Something else is, when a slave died, in chapter 1 it seemed like they cared for the slave somewhat, but when her father died, he was just put aside and buried and treated as nothing, and most likely replaced with another worker. I thought there would be some kind of celebration of death, or sulking from his death. So that really seemed very heartless to me. But as I know, the slaves were seen as tools. Now, moving on, thing that also was pointed out to me was the the connection with the family. Um, Being that the slave point usually started from one person moving there, and it's a family is grown in that. So the family members become really connected and really bunch together into this pack of caring for each other and getting each other through these things, because they're the only thing that they have on this plantation or farm, and they keep each other strong. And I didn't think it was so it was so well put together on the love that you guys would have to have for each other. About at the end of chapter 2, I kind of seen how slaves adopted Christianity, and being that religion is pretty much seen, well, the positive thing of religion is to have something more than just life. Even if you're poor or whatever negative things that are in your life, you have this afterlife to look towards, and you have this master that pretty much celebrates your good doings and these things that you've done, and there's always more. While reading that, I wondered, what if they hadn't adopted Christianity? What How much more violence would have went down if they found out that there was nothing after this, that this is it, this is my life, I'm gonna be a slave forever, what kind of retaliations would have happened. Moving on, chapter 3 of New Year's, and how the slaves, it was kind of like a contract where the slaves would be put out, and they would get rehired or pretty much fired. It kind of reminded me of the basketball draft where you get rid of your bad people, and you kind of gather up the money that you got from that, and some of your money to get bigger and stronger people, or better housemaids, or whatever that you need on the plantation or in the house. In the process of doing this, the families were ripped apart, and it's pretty much just breaking down their strength again. As soon as they build a family, in this year, because it happens every year, and then as soon as you get comfortable, or as soon as you've become adapted to these tough times, but you kind of I don't know what the word is, but you make it through because you have the family that you've built, and you guys have gone through these obstacles together. But then at the end of the year, you guys just get ripped from each other, or it's a possibility. So it's the fear of that also. And slaves are most likely to be kept depending on how hard they work. So I'm wondering if in that time the parents would tell the children or the husband to always work hard, just so they aren't ripped from each other. They were truly treated as refurbished tools. At the end, they told of the woman who had been working for this house for 70 years in loyalty, and I think that in 70 years, that's more than a close relationship. That's more than blood, that's more than anything. And I would think that even though the skin colors are different, 70 years you have to grow some kind of bond. But she was left for another selling and sold for $20. So these were my opinions on the 3 chapters. Thank you very much.